One of the first crops ever known to be cultivated. It's also one of the smallest, the pea. Now, there are many varieties of peas, but they fall into three general categories: the garden pea, the snap pea, and the snow pea. With garden peas, we have to shell them. We don't eat the pods, just the peas inside. But with snap peas and snow peas, we eat the whole thing, pod and all. All the peas are cool weather crops. That means they're one of the first things to mature in the growing season, and that makes peas an exciting and delicious part of spring. I'm Charity Nebbe. On this episode of Iowa Ingredient, we'll travel to the beautiful Luss Hills area in southwest Iowa, where the folks at Rhizosphere Farm are making a difference in their community with freshly grown produce, including peas. And Sioux City chef Julie Schoenherr makes peas the highlight of a couple of delicious recipes cooked up in our studio kitchen. All that and more coming up next on Iowa Ingredient.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.
So we're gonna go put these in the oven at 350 degrees. Perfect dish. I'm gonna get some of those beans with my sweet potato.
Bit of salt. Wow.
The pea has been around for a long time, so there's no surprise that it's got some lore attached to it. Hans Christian Andersen made the pea the center of his fairy tale, The Princess and the Pea. There is an old Norse legend that peas were a gift from the god Thor, so they could only be eaten on his day, on Thursday. There is also, of course, the saying, like 2 peas in a pod, and we all know what that means. But for all of this talk of the size and the look of peas, growing secrets and flavor profiles are also worthy topics of conversation when we're talking about this delicious veggie.
I think one of the things that I love about peas is it's one of the first things that you get to eat after winter. Winter comes every year and you think about all the fresh food that you're not eating until spring, and it's the first thing that we put in the ground, sometimes even like late February, so really early before the season gets going. And then it's one of the first things that you get to bite into and taste spring and delicious fresh goodness.
Tara Hall and her husband Matt grow sugar snap peas and lots of other food on Rhizosphere Farm.
We are just south of Missouri Valley, Iowa, in the Luss Hills, which is actually amazing. I know plenty of people that grow food in the region, and it's great nutrient-rich soil, but it's clay. This is just gold. Like, we really hit the jackpot on land.
Peas are a cool season crop grown in many parts of the world. Planting can take place from late winter to early summer, depending on location.
We generally plant as early as we can get into the ground. So once the ground has thawed, we will amend the bed. But one thing that's really important with peas or any legume, if you're growing it, is to inoculate them. And what that helps it do, all of those plants give nitrogen to the soil, and they do that by actually grabbing it from the air. So the bacteria that you're giving them before you plant them is like a partner in that, and kind of enables them to do that. And so you're not just growing this lush, great, healthy vegetable, but it's actually putting energy back into the soil that can be used later.
The soil is important, especially when it comes to peas. Tara and Matt were renting land when they first started out, so they named their farm for the soil.
You know, a lot of places are like Old Tree or Long Creek or something like that, and it's like about the geographic space. And we knew that we didn't have a geographic space to name it after, but the one thing we wanted to always honor was the rhizosphere, and that's the top layer of the soil. So it's where all the roots get their nutrients and water, and wherever we go, that's what we're working with. So that pea is actually really nice. Probably is going to be extremely delicious and crisp. You can kind of tell the way that it pops that it's a perfect little snap pea.
Peas have a tender but slightly crunchy texture and vibrant, sweet flavor. English peas, also known as shell peas, green peas, or garden peas, are plump, round green berries that grow inside an inedible pod. Snow peas have wide, flat, edible pods. The pods contain small, flattened peas and have a crisp texture. They are frequently used in stir-fries. Sugar snap peas, like those grown on Rhizosphere Farm, have thick, crunchy, edible pods and plump peas. They're snappy, sweet, and perfect for snacking right out of the field.
So that one's about perfect. There really is this perfect window of ripeness where a snap pea, in this case, is just right. When they're underripe, they tend to be flat. If they're overripe, then what you're seeing is a lot of ridges, and it's really taut, and it becomes really starchy and tough. There's a space in between there where it's actually quite perfect. It starts to kind of like swell a bit. The peas have formed to a certain size, and the taste is sweet, the texture is crisp. It's just the most perfect thing for fresh eating.
Tara and Matt are mindful caretakers of the land. They love growing heirloom varieties of vegetables to sell by CSA, wholesale, or at farmers markets in Omaha, Nebraska.
The more we put time and energy into building the soil, the more it gives back. It is a lot of work. It's so much work. And if you would have told my 20-year-old self that I was going to be doing this, I would have said you were nuts. But when you actually get into the field and you start planting or harvesting or weeding or anything like that, you can really just completely commit to the moment. And it's really a beautiful thing.
Our chefs are an essential part of the Iowa ingredient experience. They help to share the stories behind the food. They showcase valuable cooking techniques. They inspire us to cook with the huge variety of ingredients grown here in our state. Dining out and experiencing our chefs' talents for yourself is another popular way to celebrate Iowa foods. We have a page on our website that we keep as up-to-date as possible to show you where our Iowa ingredient chefs are working and cooking. Chef Julie Schoenherr is one of those chefs. She tells us a little bit about her personal path to a culinary career.
My name is Julie Schoenherr, and I became a chef because I have a love of food and a love of teaching about food. I first knew I wanted to become a chef when I was 10 years old. I grew up in California. My mom was a waitress at a small Italian family restaurant. I was the youngest of 4 daughters, and my sisters, would maybe be somewhere, so I couldn't be left home alone. So I started coming to work with my mom, and they put me to work. I would scrape plates, and then I kind of graduated to filling soda glasses and getting ice and things. And there was a lady named Marie Vidalich, I'll never forget her, and she would teach me how to take little balls of dough and knead. When they did dough, she'd break me off some, show me how to saute, how to chop, how to, mix things and taste things as you cook. So I remember that, and I just know that that's where my love of cooking and food and teaching people as you go. You can tell someone how you want it done, but if you tell them why, how you want it done sticks, a lot better. Through the years for being a chef, I've learned it takes dedication, creativity, patience, But most of all, if you love it, that's amazing. But get a little business plan to go with it. I had a banking career before this. Started in the culinary business, got into some banking, and then came back to culinary, and the two go hand in hand together very well. You have a passion, and it's great to have a passion for anything that you do, but feet on the ground too. You know, you can make your passion come to life if you have the business side of it to go with it. I love cooking with IO ingredient. I love the staff. I love the little bit of a challenge to get this done. It's a little bit, makes you a little bit nervous, but they make it so fun for you to come here. I just look forward to it. I get a little nervous about 20 minutes before I get there. And then when I get there, I get a hug and they say, "Oh, welcome, welcome." And I just love it. I truly do.
Perfect. Nailed it.
Nailed it. Good job, Julie.
And now we are here in the kitchen with Chef Julie. We're going to do some cooking with peas, and you have a very creative idea here. Tell me about it.
I do. We're going to make some pea pesto.
Okay.
And I chose that because we love pesto. We love it stirred into pasta, on bread, but sometimes people don't like quite the herbaceousness. It's a little herby for some people.
All right.
So peas are abundant, and we're going to try to make some sweet pea pesto today.
Nice. Well, and you've swapped out basil,
I did.
and this is mint, right?
This is a little fresh mint, and that's
Okay.
going to just liven it up, and it's going to make it delicious. So we're going to grab our peas. We're going to put those right in. Grab a handful. And this is kind of, can be a little bit to taste some of the things that you like more than others. Of course, a good pesto's got some chopped fresh garlic in there. And again, to taste is good. Always salt and pepper.
in everything.
In everything, absolutely, and in layers. Whenever you add something that doesn't have any seasoning to it, that's a good time to put it in. We're gonna put a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese in, which helps make it kind of creamy. And a little bit of lemon juice that adds a little acidity. Comes across, cuts the saltiness, and it also adds a little brightness, and it keeps that nice fresh green in there when you whiz it up.
Okay.
So that's all we've got. Put the lid on, and we're gonna pulse it first, and then once this gets a nice little puree, we're gonna drizzle olive oil into our feeder, and it's gonna become creamy. Gonna clean our sides just for a quick moment. Make sure that everything, you can already see how beautiful that color is.
gorgeous.
That is summer right there.
Yeah.
That is Iowa summer. Another little pulse. All right, now we're gonna let it run. And I'm gonna start drizzling some olive oil. Again, we're gonna scrape the side. It looks like it needs a little bit more. Still a little pasty. We're looking pretty good here.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh, and you can just smell the freshness of it as well. Little more salt and a little more pepper. And I'm going to give that a little stir. And we're good to go.
It is so pretty.
It is.
Well, this looks beautiful. You've topped it off with some Parmigiano Reggiano, and I think we should try it.
I think we should too. We've got a couple of other toppings that can go
Okay.
with it, and you can put anything you want on this, really.
Wonderful. So just a big smear on there?
Yeah, just a big smear.
All right. That's lovely. All right, what else do you want to put on it?
I would like a little ricotta cheese on mine, please.
All right.
Just a little dollop and maybe a little tomato.
All right. couple tomatoes?
Yeah, that sounds good. It's just all fresh ingredients. You know, you can make it heartier if you want to put a little pieces of ham or a little crumbled bacon or pancetta, anything you want.
Yeah.
Little strips of peppers. It could be a deviled egg or just a hard cooked egg. You can put anything
All
on it.
right. Well, let's give this a try.
Let's dive in. Here we go.
Now, the consistency reminds me of pesto, but the flavor is different from traditional pesto, but
sweet.
it's so delicious. It is sweet. And it definitely, that mint really brightens it up. That is just delicious. I could eat that all day.
Thank you. I love it.
All right, more cooking with peas. Now we are going to make a tangy sugar snap pea saute, a completely different kind of pea than the garden pea we were working with before.
It sure is. These peas are obviously shaped a little different. They've got an edible shell on them, and the garden peas we'll normally take out and eat just the inside, but these we're going to blanch a little bit and we're going to eat the whole thing.
Nice, and they're delicious.
Great. We've got a little string on the end of some of these that we take off, and I just want to bring that to your attention that we're going to get rid of.
All right, fantastic. What do we do?
Well, we're going to start by blanching these in some salted
Okay.
boiling water.
Perfect. And blanching just a couple of minutes in the water?
Just a couple of minutes, minute and a half to 2 minutes. We just want to start to soften it a little bit, and we're going to finish them in the saute. And while you're doing that, we've got some bacon started to get nice and crispy, and we're keeping the bacon grease in, and we're going to add some onions to that. Get those started. Get some good flavor in there. And this takes just about the same amount of time as it does to blanch the peas.
All right.
All right, these are both looking about finished to where they need
Perfect.
to be before we combine them. I'll let you pull those from the boiling water.
Okay.
And I'm going to add some garlic right at the end because we didn't put it in the beginning. We didn't want it to burn.
I love how vibrant green these are coming out of the water.
And if we were going to use those in a cold application, we'd chock those in some ice water to keep them really bright green. These look wonderful.
All right, so straight in with
Straight
the bacon
in.
and the onions and the garlic.
Straight in. Here's where the saute part comes in. And we'll eat this as a main dish with maybe some corn on the cob or some
Oh,
sliced
yeah.
tomatoes, because it's got your meat and your vegetables right in there, little garden meal.
Yeah, perfect pairing.
Now, our little secret at the end is just a little bit of soy sauce. Just gonna pour it on the spoon so it doesn't get too crazy. It's gonna give us a little salty umami flavor and a little bit of pepper. And we've got plenty of salt from the bacon already, so we're not
Right,
gonna
and
add
the
any
soy
more of
sauce.
that. And that soy sauce, right. And that's just as easy as it is.
Perfect, all right. Plate that up.
All right. And then my last little garnish here. There we go.
All right.
All finished.
That's beautiful. Tangy sugar snap pea saute.
That's
Perfect.
right.
Julie Schoenherr, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
According to the USDA, close to 40% of the country's food goes to waste. That's over 100 billion pounds of food that is thrown out every year. To put that in context, we throw away enough food each day to fill a college football stadium. On the other side of the spectrum, in 2017, over 40 million Americans dealt with hunger. How can people struggle to find their next meal when so much food goes to waste? Logistics are the roadblock. Getting that food into the hands of the people who need it proves to be a challenging task. In Johnson County, one nonprofit organization has come up with their own answer.
In the last couple of years, we just asked and said, hey, if you have a number, tell us. And we discovered at the end of this year that we helped serve 19,000 people in Johnson County.
Table to Table was founded in 1996. Unlike a food bank, which typically stores bulk food, this organization works to keep meals from going to waste by having volunteers pick up and deliver food to recipients. Rescuing this much food is a truly weighty undertaking.
We have about 8 to 10 routes 6 days a week. And so that really adds up.
10.
570. 570.
We have about 140 volunteers every week.
I got the clipboard.
Alrighty.
You got the keys.
About 90 of those are actively out on the routes in the van picking up the food.
I like giving back like this, and you got a true feel for it.
They have a route they're going to stop at, maybe a grocery store, a restaurant, or a gas station, and then their drop-off points happen right away. So our goal is to get all of that food distributed immediately.
Food waste is more than just that last piece of broccoli on your plate. It's everything from the farms to the grocery stores to the refrigerators in homes. In the U.S., approximately 72 billion pounds of perfectly good food from every point in the food production cycle ends up in landfills.
Statistically, more of the food waste in landfills is coming from homes. So consumer food waste, plate waste, things that don't get cooked and rot in the refrigerator, that's a little bit harder issue to tackle because you can't go into someone's home and rescue the broccoli off their plate. Where we work is in the retail area.
Got some pumpkin pies, some berries.
So the food that gets thrown away before it ever makes it into somebody's home.
A couple of meatless products, but it goes to the territory. Yeah.
Most of what we do is from grocery stores. There's a lot of reasons that food that's still good ends up being thrown away. If there's a gallon of milk that's going to expire in 2 days, that's not usually something the store will sell. It's not something you'd want to buy, but it's still good. In fact, it's still good usually a week past that date. So we can pick up on one route sometimes 500 pounds of milk that is safe and healthy for another 10 days.
A lot of carbohydrates. So we really appreciate it when we get a lot of protein and fruits and stuff like that.
We don't want to bring it back here. It has a limited shelf life, so taking even a day to store it here and then redistribute reduces the chances that somebody's going to be able to eat it. So our volunteers pick it all up and then drop it off directly.
Today, we need bread, as always, for the East End community.
The fact is, the food that we collect is going to go to waste. So as long as the organization we serve is serving the needy, the hungry, or children, and they're a nonprofit, they meet the guidelines to receive the food.
Food waste and food insecurity are two problems that won't be solved overnight. But thanks to the efforts of these volunteers, small steps can have a significant impact.
You know, I've practiced dentistry here for 40 years, and the community was good to me, and I just like to give some time back to the community.
Got one more. Okay.
Plus, it keeps me out of trouble.
All right.
One of my favorite things about Table to Table is that broad impact piece, because food is a lot more than just food, and it's culture, it's community, it brings people together, right? And I think of the food we rescue as more than just food. It's really an opportunity. When you think of all this food that could just be sitting there going to waste, it's really just this wasted opportunity that we want to be able to reclaim and get it back out there in the community and get it as a resource again.
That's it for this week's show. Thank you for joining us for this feast for the eyes and the taste buds. I'm Charity Nebbe. See you next time for another agricultural journey on Iowa Ingredient.
Keep in mind that circumstances are always changing, so please take a moment to check ahead if you're planning to visit a restaurant, farm, or event featured on the show.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.